Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the next episode of Let's Play Warframe. And today is going to be a special treat. It is going to be for Loki Prime and Bo Prime, the two new primes that have been released for update 13.7. These are the long-awaited next primes, and everyone kind of knew it was Loki Prime because they're doing them, chronologically as. They're not like skipping random Warframes. They're making prime versions of each Warframe as each Warframe was released. So everybody kind of knew, and I've been excited for Loki for a long time. And we'll get into the specifics in a moment. But Bo Prime is also very cool. You see both Loki Prime and Bo Prime here in the video, and Bo Prime was one of the weakest underdeveloped weapons in the game before Melee 2.0, and once Melee 2.0 hit, it was crazy. The weapon got a huge damage buff, huge attack speed buff, just all around, just made it a much better weapon in general. And with Bo Prime, it looks awesome, as well as receiving a huge damage buff, putting it, I would say, in the top 5 best melee weapons in the game. And it's something you're definitely not going to want to miss out on. But first, I think we should start at the beginning, and that's Loki Prime. Loki Prime is very cool. All primed versions of Warframe basically get an additional polarity slot, which you can see right here. Basically, each normal Warframe starts off with 4 ability slots and 2 polarity slots to put mods into. Now, most primes get 3 instead of 2. Loki Prime, for some reason, I'm not sure why, maybe the developers were just feeling generous, gave Loki Prime 4 slots. And here you can see my build that I have for Loki Prime. For my aura, I choose Energy Siphon, just to make sure I have lots of energy, and I go with Power Range and Power Duration for invisibility and for Radial Disarm, which is the 2 abilities that I run the most. Decoy is handy, but it can really, towards higher level defense, it can really just, you get smoked real quick, and the decoy isn't as, it's not as useful. But turning invisible to revive teammates, and, just being able to save yourself, save your shield is always handy. Radial Disarm, as I've said in other videos, is basically it forces all enemies in the area to resort to melee weapons, which is really good against the Grineer and the Corpus. It's not as effective against the Infested because they only have melee weapon. They scratch the shit out of you with their claws. But against the Grineer and the Corpus and the Corrupted, it's extremely, extremely handy, and really something that can make the difference if your defense pod is in trouble, or if you're trying to revive a teammate, or whatever. Loki is probably one of the best solo and co-op Warframes out there. He's got a lot of co-op advantages, and he also has a lot of solo play. A lot of the footage you're actually seeing here is me playing solo. You just turn invisible and go through the level. It's it's really great. It's kind of cheating, but it's good. Radial Disarm, again, his ultimate is really good for co-op play and solo play, as is Decoy and Switch Teleport. But I don't actually have Switch Teleport on. I've been thinking about putting it on, but it's kind of a tough ability to justify. And but yeah, other than that, Loki Prime is basically identical to Loki. And if you guys have watched my favorite Warframes video, which if you haven't, you should. Loki is one of my favorites. He was the first Warframe that I chose when I started out. and he's just a real solid Warframe. Definitely for advanced players, but once you get the hang of him, you really he's a lot of fun to use. But with that being said, he's a great frame, and I highly recommend picking him up. Either by grinding in the Void for the pieces or by buying the Prime Access. Now, next we have here is the Bow Prime. Bow Prime, it's just a really solid weapon all around. It does 75 damage total between impact and puncture. It's got a 1.1 attack speed and a 25% chance to hit status, which is phenomenal. It's a very high status chance, and you definitely want to combine that with the Tethera's Doom mod, which is the electric damage plus the status chance, as well as the Cicero mod, the Cicero event mod, which also is dropping off the new boss, Corrupted Captain Vor, as of 13.7. And the Cicero mod for melee weapons is 60% poison damage, 60% status chance. So basically you have a 120% chance to inflict status, which is roughly, I would say, 55%-ish. So you're going to be hitting a status effect roughly every other hit, which is phenomenal. And there's also a channeling mod, but it's a little bit more dangerous to use. The channeling mod increases it, I think, by 40 or 60%, so you can get even more status chance, but it's iffy. But the Bow Prime, and you're seeing here with the Clashing Forest stance, which is not technically the stance that fits this particular staff, but it is the only staff stance that I had, so I wanted to show something off. But it's a really solid weapon, and I've always been a big fan of Donatello from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, so having a really awesome bow staff in this game really feels good, and it is a very gratifying weapon. It also looks badass as shit. So does Loki Prime. That was the biggest reason that I ground these two out so quickly, is because they look so awesome. They just match really well, as do all Prime weapons and Prime Warframes, but these two in particular just look really nice together. Now, as of 13.7, there was also a third Prime released, and that was the Worm Prime, which is the Sentinel, which is the first Sentinel they ever released, Worm, which was basically, a real basic assault-type Sentinel. The reason I didn't really include that in the video is because I haven't gotten them yet. I basically ground the parts for Loki and for Bow, and have not gotten around to getting the parts for Worm yet, but that will perhaps be in another video when I do my video on the corrupted Captain Vor fights in the new Tier 4 towers, which should be coming soon. TM, copyrighted. But, yeah, basically, if you guys play Warframe, I would definitely suggest going out and picking up Loki Prime pieces and Bow Prime pieces. They're incredibly expensive if you want to buy them, but they're not so bad to grind. It did take me a couple of days, but I did get them, so it's not impossible. But thank you very much for watching, ladies and gentlemen. I do appreciate it. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and we will see you guys next time. Thanks.